One county is working with its healthcare partners to hold free virtual support groups, helping Hoosiers rebound from this crisis. RTV6's Stephanie Wade shares this community effort that you can take advantage of.
I think it gives someone the opportunity to reflect, to dialogue about what they're going through. I think that they can relate to us and we can relate to them.
That's what the free support group does for Kokomo Fire Captain Jason Braden, giving firefighters, police officers, emergency management crews, healthcare workers, even grocery store employees the space to release their stress and emotions they're so bravely holding in right now to serve the public.
Mentally for us, we go home and our worry is making sure we don't bring it home to our families.
We realize that during this crisis, mental health has become a very, very important topic across the board.
Being separated from their families for hours and sometimes days at a time, they say, can be overwhelming.
The people out there on the front lines, they are just dealing with this every day, minute by minute, at a level that's hard for many of us to grasp.
We all have a cup that people put things in, and we don't know when that cup is going to become full.
And when the cup begins to boil over, there are now resources to help you. Turning Point, an organization that helps those who suffer from addiction or mental health issues, is now holding free confidential meetings 3 times a week, several times a day, accounting for different shifts responders might work, that are led by mental health providers and frontline staff peers on the video chat service, Zoom.
We want them to leave the meetings feeling good, inspired, and understanding there's people that care about them and love them and appreciate what they're doing. And it just gives them that energy and that charge to continue that fight for us on a daily basis.
Working for you, Stephanie Wade, RTV6.
And as long as we are battling this virus, program leaders say they are going to continue offering this free service. They also expect after this is over, people will need some help to decompress and process everything they and their families have been through, so they will make their services available then as well. And right now at theindychannel.com/rebound, you can find more mental health resources available to anyone who is struggling during the COVID-19 pandemic.
It is the beginning of the month, which means many Hoosiers are struggling to pay rent after losing their income or getting laid off during the coronavirus pandemic. The Neighborhood Christian Legal Clinic is working to answer questions about your rights as a tenant.
We're also going to see people dealing with debt collection, needing bankruptcy, reorganization of their personal debts, and there's certainly going to be a wave of evictions. It's just unavoidable. The crisis has hit certain industries harder this time around. Because of the nature of it being connected to, complete shutdown of economic activity almost. So we anticipate probably a larger degree of evictions, and that being a community need, even along with foreclosures.
The Neighborhood Christian Legal Clinic will have attorneys available to answer your questions during an RTV6 virtual town hall tonight at 7:30. They can address eviction concerns, unemployment, debt, and much more. You can watch the town hall and ask questions live on the RTV6 Facebook page. Again, that's tonight at 7:30.
Unemployment does not just apply to someone who has lost their job. It can also apply to someone who's lost wages. Can you talk about that?
That's correct. So I think what you may be referring to is what we would call being partially unemployed. So, for example, as we're moving into this next stage of the governor's plan of businesses opening up, but on limited basis, limited hours, limited occupancy for buildings. Some people may be returning to work, but they may only be returning to a limited schedule of hours. And so they're not making what they used to make before. They may still be eligible for unemployment benefits.
Okay, I think that's really important information. Let's next talk about family issues. It's been some time together in the house with the family. Can you guys talk about what sort of questions you're getting and what people can do if they're finding themselves in a situation such as domestic violence, if you suspect child abuse in the home? Talk to me about what can people do if they're not in a good situation right now, family wise.
So, Kara, I can address that as well. The people are, we have seen a rise in domestic violence incidents since the quarantine has been put in place, not just in Indiana, but it's been global. Um, First of all, if you feel unsafe, and if you feel that you need to get out of your home situation, there are domestic violence shelters in central Indiana. The Julian Center is the one that we partner with. And the most important thing is to get in touch with somebody and formulate a safety plan to get out and get into shelter.
Thank you so much. Let's talk next about evictions. That's one of the most common questions that we get, is that their landlord has started eviction proceedings while this pandemic is going on. Chase, can you talk about what does the law or the regulations say right now?
Yeah, so the main thing we want to start with is the state moratorium. So the governor, as part of his emergency powers, issued an executive order that prohibits landlords from filing any new evictions or foreclosures until after June 4th, now June 4th, 2020. So if a landlord is attempting to evict someone through self-help, by changing their locks or turning off their utilities or something like that, they really should seek legal assistance. And I'd also recommend they file a complaint with the Indiana Attorney General's office. I know that they are looking into the landlords that are violating the emergency orders as well. And then on the flip side, on the federal side, there are also some additional protections for federally subsidized properties. So things like public housing, Section 8 programs, LIHTC, Section 42 housing. They have a foreclosure prohibition because of the Federal CARES Act until July 25th, 2020. So it's a little bit longer. So what we're going to be looking out for is landlords who aren't following those procedures and are filing the evictions in Indiana, although they might be under a covered property. And then also guiding tenants through situations where a landlord may be attempting to violate their rights by evicting them through self-help.
I think it's important to know, though, that once this is over, people are still going to have to pay their mortgage. They're still going to have to pay their rent. So people should be preparing for that. Can you talk about that? Is that a common misconception, that people think that money that's accrued over this time, they're still going to owe that, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, the governor's order was very clear that it doesn't affect the contractual rights of the parties. So that means that they still owe their landlord that money, and they're going to have to figure out a way to either come up with a payment plan or seek emergency assistance. So what we really advise people to do if you need help is to call 211 and get access to some emergency assistance. We have the United Way COVID Relief Fund in central Indiana, and a number of the other local United Way agencies have some funding available as well.
WRTV's Rebound Indiana initiative is looking ahead at times that we get back on track. And for many of you, this might be the perfect time to fulfill a dream or change course when it comes to your career. The coronavirus pandemic is not stopping the Indianapolis Fire Department from moving forward filling firefighters' positions, but I found it is giving applicants some extra time to get in on joining Indy's bravest. With COVID-19 around, being a firefighter is a little different these days.
Gowns, goggles, mask, and all that stuff. So on top of the fire gear, now we have all this EMS gear that we're learning how to put on.
Usually during shift change, you want to talk to the firefighters, or you're relieving. You have some camaraderie there, and now we are kind of avoiding talking to each other and interacting during shift change and stuff like that.
Still, Indianapolis firefighters Nico Periambata and Megan Ridley, who are relatively new to the force, feel this is their true calling.
For me, it was just staying determined, staying dedicated to what I wanted to do with my life.
Megan signed up for the challenge because she looks up to her brother.
A couple years ago, my brother got on, and it's just been that goal that I've always wanted now since I saw him, and I've been ready to do it.
Many share the dream of joining Indy's bravest. And now, thanks to stay-at-home orders and social distancing restrictions, the department has extended the deadline to May 15th to apply for the next recruit class, which begins in 2021. The process takes about 10 months to complete, and roughly 100 recruits will make the cut.
You need to make sure that you know as much as you can about the fire service, about the Indianapolis department, just keeping yourself knowledgeable, always looking to learn.
Both Nico and Megan say one thing is key if you really want to become a firefighter. Persistence is what will see you through.
It was actually my second time through the process before I got hired. So going through it the first time, I was able to get a feel for how it was ran. The second time, I prepared a little better.
There's an application, a written standardized test, an oral interview, a physical test, and a mental health assessment. A step-by-step path leading the way to being a lifesaver.
There is nothing else in life that someone can offer me to do for a living that I would rather do than be an Indianapolis firefighter.
So today we've brought the radishes that we've grown in the garden.
Students from UIndy have been growing their own produce in community gardens. But the produce isn't for them.
We plant the gardens in April and we start harvesting in June, and the produce is organic and is distributed to anyone who needs it.
Teaching students about food insecurity and community organizing, UIndy partners with the nonprofit So Indy, which collaborates with La Luz del Mundo Church on the south side to hand out the fresh produce grown from the gardens, as well as non-perishable food items donated by Gleaners Food Bank to anyone who drives by.
They are learning how important it is to be able to understand what the needs of the communities are and how to engage with the community so that we can address those needs in a meaningful manner.
Actually being able to have my hands on it and watch it flourish throughout the season, and now seeing it go to people, I think there's sort of an art to it.
But being able to actually contribute and be someone that grows produce and delivers it to people so that they can have food and have like good healthy options that aren't just like ramen from the store, it really gives me a sense of pride within my community because I know that I'm helping people that actually need it.
Because the So Indy community is in a food desert, the need to provide safe access to healthy food is critical, especially now,
where more and more individuals are experiencing unemployment due to the COVID pandemic, which has increased food insecurity. So they need definitely more access, consistent access to food.
I really just want people to be inspired to work within their community, even if it's not gardening, especially in times like these. There's so many opportunities to help those in need.
Stephanie Wade, RTV6. The past few months have been difficult for many industries, childcare being one of them.
Across the state, about a third of providers closed temporarily. The other 2/3 stayed open, but serving far fewer children in most cases.
Despite constant disinfecting and cleaning, parents have been apprehensive to send their children to daycare. So places like Little Duckling Daycare on the east side had to close for 5 weeks.
It's just not enough to soothe their minds when they hear, what's going on, or may have even been affected by COVID-19.
But thanks to the Early Learning Indiana Comeback Stronger Fund with support from the Lilly Endowment, they're helping childcare providers do just that, offering grants from $3,000 to $40,000 to help facilities make the necessary health and safety changes post-COVID.
Childcare providers operate on really razor-thin margins. It's hard business to be in the very best of times, and we know that these past few months have been anything but the best of times.
The children, they love being with their friends. They were away from them for 5 weeks, so they're trying to play with each other's toys, and so I want to be able to get enough materials so that every child can have their own.
Little Duckling Daycare was one of the lucky recipients. The director tells me the funds will go toward additional equipment to safely prepare meals and more furniture to socially distance students.
If they did not have that opportunity, we wouldn't be able to afford the equipment, the supplies. And so I'm so appreciative.
We know that it's an essential part of the economic engine of the state. And so we want to help providers make sure that they can do the things that they need to do to make families confident in returning their children to care.
Stephanie Wade, RTV6.
Early Learning Indiana is evaluating applications on a rolling basis. They have a total of $15 million to give to eligible providers statewide. They allocate funds once a week and say they want to get the money into the hands of providers as quick as they can. To apply, we have a link on our website right now. That's at theindychannel.com.
This is a chrysalis moment, the moment we've been waiting for.
The moment when Dr. Yolanda Watson-Spiva with Complete College America says we can no longer ignore inequities and disparities among college and high school students, but instead are forced to address them.
What I'm hearing from presidents is that they're realizing they had a lot of blind spots. Like they had no idea, even though we've heard things about like a Black student sleeping in the common area in their dorm and somebody telling them they don't belong there.
CCA pushes for change in higher education that allows more students to complete college. They work with lawmakers and universities to institute policy changes.
You know, we've always looked to them for guidance around policy, around practice.
IUPUI, Purdue University, the Indiana Commission for Higher Education are some of the partners, to name a few.
Thinking about what are the barriers that we have structurally embedded in our systems that are impeding students from completing college.
COVID-19 revealing many of those.
If you do not have a laptop or some sort of technology to load into, people are having to really do all of their homework and research on a phone.
The lack of technological capabilities, Wi-Fi inequity being one.
Most institutions, I don't want to say they were reticent to do online learning. Much of it was, one, resources, right? It takes a lot of money to either equip students with laptops or Wi-Fi or technology, but also to train and skill up. We have a lot of faculty members and administrators.
And recognizing things will look much different come fall, factoring in social distancing, health and safety procedures.
I was on a call with the CDC about how institutions will be able to reopen. And I'll tell you, to be honest with you, at the end of that long call, I was like, I don't know if institutions are going to be able to do this.
Not to mention how current events have prompted people to speak out.
Some institutions are doing surveys to their students. Some are also talking to alumni.
Dr. Watson-Spiva saying the interconnectedness created through the virus has made us see our interconnectedness in humanity.
Students are finding their voices. Faculty of color are also speaking up in ways that they haven't in the past. So it's going to be an interesting confluence between COVID-19 and this sort of just new conversation.
Stephanie Wade, RTV6.
If you ask mom and business owner Lisa Berry what life has been like since the dawn of coronavirus here, she'll tell you.
It's been like one long, never-ending day.
Lisa and her husband are working parents, raising 2 boys and a girl, keeping track of work and e-learning schedules and preparing meals and cleaning the house can become mind-boggling.
The kids naturally, especially now in this day and age with computers and iPads, they gravitate towards wanting to play games all day if you don't give them some structure.
An app called Busy Kid is helping provide that structure while giving Lisa some peace of mind. The app's creator explains how it works.
Kids can go earn some money by doing chores around the house, and all a parent has to do is go in, look it over, approve the payday, and then we're going to pull the money out of their bank account, bring it into our system, and automatically allocate or split up the money into saving, sharing, and spending.
You can customize it to each child based on the things that you want them working towards. So we've got 3 kids, 3 different ages. They're not going to have the same responsibilities.
On the app, Christopher can check off folding his laundry and can expect some allowance money in his Busy Kid account. Cece earns her pay by making breakfast, blueberry crepes on this day. And Matthew makes some money when he checks off vacuuming from his list.
I hope do something for the dogs, it could be feeding them, cleaning them.
Through the app, the kids receive a debit card, and they learn a valuable lesson about money management.
When they go and they clean up after the dog and they wash the car and they make their bed and they do all this stuff for a week, and then they go and swipe their card at the store or buy something online, all of a sudden they realize, oh, shoot, that's how it works. I had to bust it out for a week to buy that toy.
A tool helping kids earn cash and helping parents manage their household.
It's been an amazing blessing because it really has given us the structure that we have needed.
So kids can even use their earnings to easily invest with stocks in several companies. The Busy Kid app is free, by the way, and available in iOS and Android app stores.
How do you address that frustration?
Well, one, we do understand the frustration because we feel that some of our family members and some of our friends are going through some of the same things. Uh, each person who is assigned to a claim under our unemployment insurance system is dedicated to making sure that they address every claim and that every person who's eligible will receive their benefits. Unfortunately, we do have a high claims volume. It's unprecedented. Um, and we want to get to each claim as quickly as we can. And if we could have gotten to all of them yesterday, we would have. The one thing that I would say is continue to be patient with us and rest assured that everyone here at this agency is working as quickly as they can under the circumstances that we have.
Josh Richardson, Andrew wants to know, as we sort of get close to the end of this conversation, if we have to pay taxes on the federal stimulus money or on the unemployment insurance dollars. Well, we have to pay taxes on those dollars.
Well, so I think there was just a report out, and certainly I'm not an expert at the $1,200 stimulus payments that are out there, but I think that will not be taxed, or at least that's what I read. Though we're not an expert at that program. On your unemployment taxes, yes, they are treated as taxable income, and again, we're not necessarily the experts at that. Though under federal guidance, we are required to offer people the election to have their taxes withheld, and then we withhold that, and we would make those payments to the IRS, withheld payments on their behalf. It's not a requirement. We don't require you to have your taxes withheld, but I do believe that this will all be treated as taxable income. And again, that's not a department level decision. That is a federal tax law decision.
And Gina, Kim says she commends the Department of Workforce Development. They are doing their best. That comes from Kim. So from your perspective as the Chief Unemployment Officer, what can someone do tomorrow and moving forward to make sure that they make this process as easy for you to pay them as quickly as possible? Because you do want to pay people. So what should I be doing beginning tomorrow to make sure that that check comes in on time?
Sure. Well, I want to thank Tim because I can tell you that means a lot to me and a lot to the people that are working really hard, because we have people just working around the clock, answering things and trying to adjudicate these claims to get the funds to Hoosiers. So I would say just continue to be patient with us. We've had a lot of kindness our way. People that, get disconnected from phone calls or have to wait on the phone for a long time. If you can be patient and continue to be kind to us, that's the best. We are doing our best. And again, if you can answer all the questions truthfully and honestly and read the questions, that's really the best thing that you can do is give us the accurate information. If we have the accurate information, then we can do our job.
We want to thank you for joining us tonight for this robust discussion. You just heard from Gina Ashley. She's the Chief Unemployment Officer for the Department of Workforce Development. You've also heard tonight from Josh Richardson. He's the Chief of Staff, and of course, the Commissioner, Fred Payne. We want to thank the three of you, really. This has been a very long day. I've seen you in other parts of the state doing other Zoom webinars. Mr. Payne, I saw you with the governor today, so I know you've all been very busy at your other job. But I think sharing information with people allows them to be empowered to make the best decision for their family. We want to thank you for joining us for this Rebound Indiana virtual town hall. Please keep sharing your stories as we magnify your voices, seeking answers for you, and maybe there'll be some changes if necessary. I'm Rafael Sanchez. For all of us here at RTV6, thank you for watching and have a good evening.